Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Again, so last week we finished reading the 29th word, which has been almost a 40-week journey for us on this topic about the immortality of man's spirit, the angels, and the resurrection. Before we met for tonight, Sarah and I were talking on the phone, and we both have over 20, 25 pages of notes. So there's a lot to go over. But what we thought we would do is, just maybe give an overview and then open it up for any main takeaways and still lingering questions, because obviously it's not going to be one and done. We might have, spent a year on this topic, but it's something that we'll have to keep consciously renewing and reflecting on for the rest of our lives, inshallah. So structurally, the way we, looked at the 29th word, it's divided into two aims. First aim was about angels. Second aim was about resurrection, angels and immortality of spirit, I guess. We looked at why angels should exist, what do they represent, and so, something that we keep talking about, and I think it has made a mark for everyone, is this distinction between the outer reality, or the outer part, and the inner part of things, the inner reality of things, the mulk and malakut, the angelic side of creation, and how when we live more from our own ruh, we can get in touch with that angelic side, that is always conveying meaning to me, that is always trying to put me in connection with my creator, who speaks to me through his creation, and that speech is meaningful. So that meaning is being always communicated to me, and we're calling this, the Melekut dimension of the world. So we, talked about different ways and with how we can get in touch with that aspect, and how, as Sarah said in the beginning, how each of those meanings and aspects is taking me to the beautiful names. So the first aim was sort of our foray into what it means for there to be angels. How am I understanding angels, belief in angels? One of the first ever things we talked about when we started the study of the 29th word was, why is belief in angels a, pillar of faith? And how does it factor into my life day in, day out? Because what we learn in Sunday school is, the four archangels, and the way we describe what they do is sort of like away from me and not very relevant to my life here and now. So we wanted to see what it meant that I believe in angels, and if I can actually be certain, yaqeen, in that belief. And that was our first aim. In the second aim, we looked at the resurrection, and we looked at, logical and rational and other proofs for the necessity of resurrection. Is resurrection possible? Is bodily resurrection possible? Is it actually going to happen? What things do I need to reflect on to witness that can give me certainty that I will be resurrected, that the whole world will be destroyed and recreated. So this was our study in the second aim. And obviously there are way more details there, but I will stop there. And one of the things, and I guess maybe it was more recent that we talked about, but maybe it's a bit more topical, is that you know, we keep talking about how these things factor into our lives here and now. And one of the things that we said was, looking at death and, destruction or pain, oppression, those things all come to us laden with meaning. And they make us feel certain ways, they push us to do certain things. And even death is created and has a melekut, has an angelic side to it, which was one of the last things we talked about in our study. So I just wanted to kind of circle back to that and see if we can maybe look at the information we're getting today, tonight, with that lens that my creator is creating everything, every moment, with wisdom, with intention, with rahmah, with compassion. And that is my experience all the time. So if that is my experience and I can actually attest to that, how can I take on the next thing that's coming my way? The news that I'm hearing, the whatever I see on TV or on my social media, whatever else. How am I receiving that in the in light of the bigger or the truth, the real truth that there is someone in charge, and this someone is always in communication with me out of his love and mercy and care. I was reading something today, and it was saying that, when we say Rab, and we, usually translate it as Lord, but the way the root of that word works in Arabic, it has an undertone of care and, training, and it's very involved. So it's not just Lord, apathetic, it's caring Lord. So, why is my caring Lord showing me this piece of information, is making me feel this way? Why is he putting this in front of me? So that's where I'll stop. And I'll open it up for any other reflections, reviews, questions.
Thank you, Nurbanu, for giving us the structure of what we've been studying so far. So I just wanted to bring everyone's attention because we have lots of new friends. Salam alaikum, Farheen, and all the iPhones that are nameless. We're so happy to have new friends as we strive to have everyone taste this way of studying the Quran, which is completely different than really any other study that I've experienced, because we delve into how we can feel and confirm the truth of, in this case, the immortality of my own spirit, me communicating with angels in every moment right now, and me knowing that the day of resurrection is true based on what I feel right now. So that's very different than knowing, like Dr. Yamina often emphasizes, after we die, something is going to happen, or there are these angelic beings, like Nurbanu was saying. This is completely different. So we began with this beautiful ayah. It was 1785. If you can pull it up on the screen, the spirit comes by command of my sustainer. Surah Al-Isra, And just to bring us back that this is a Quran study, and it's paired with studying the human being, what we feel, our micro universe, our microcosm, which is our own beings, and the universe at the same time. The happenings, all of the things being created every day, all of the things brought before us that we're experiencing every day. All three of these together is how Imam Nursi guides us to this interpretation of the Quran. So this ayah, if you scroll down a little bit, please, Nurbanu, so that we can see the Arabic as well. Yes. So for those who speak Arabic, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ويسألونك عن الروح قل الروح من أمر ربي وما أوتيتم من العلم إلا قليلا. So they ask you about al-ruh, the soul, the spirit. قل الروح من أمر ربي. So can you go back now, Nurbanu? So al-ruh min amr, this ruh is from the amr, the command of Rabbi. Now, what Dr. Yamina brought our attention to was in the Quran, what are we told about amr, this command of God that brings into existence, right? He brings into existence by a command to be, and it is. It says about the malaika, the angels, يَفْعَلُونَ مَا يُؤْمَرُونَ. They do what they are commanded. They follow the amr. So here we are interacting with our feelings brought into existence by amr. Here we are interacting with happenings brought into existence by amr. And Imam Nursi said something absolutely incredible about spirit beings. He says, and we don't have to go there on the screen because this is just a summary. There's humans and there's jinns, right? We know that. There's a species of the spirit beings and angels that is present in every aspect, every sphere of the universe, each charged with a duty of worship. They're exceedingly numerous. And there is not a single thing, not a single raindrop, not a single leaf, not a single drop of the ocean, not a single tree that exists that we're experiencing, but that they're all ships or vehicles for a kind of angel. So practically, what does that mean for me? Dr. Yamina stated that everything is glowing with consciousness. When you look at a tree, she said, your spirit is being fed. There's something that you get. When you look at the ocean or a mountain, or if you're in the city, it's kind of hard to see a lot of the beauty, but there is perfection everywhere. If you look at the bird, everything, if you pause with it and just look at how it's made, and if you really just let go of the stored memory that says, oh, it's just a tree. Oh, it's something that's been brought, and look at how it's made. If we really pause with the orange or the banana or the feelings that suddenly flood your chest, that you just, one moment you're fine, the next you're flooded. What is this sudden flood? What is that communication? Because we learn in school, oh, I feel a feeling that came to my brain, as though the brain itself creates the feeling. Whereas the Quran says there's not a single thing that is created except it's brought to you by his amr. And what brings his amr? But the malaika. So who are you really communicating with? And have we ever thought about that? I remember traveling with a friend who's not at all ascribed to any belief. And we went to Denver and we saw a mountain for the first time as New Yorkers. And she just stared at it and said, how majestic. And I just stared at her because I go to Halakha. And I stared at the mountain and I said, who communicated that name, the majestic one, to her just now? Like, who was she? She was staring at the mountain and received that glorification. So she became a co-glorifier, meaning me and the tree, me and the mountain, me and the ocean, me and the orange, me and the whatever, have an opportunity to be co-glorifiers. Me and the emotion. The emotion lands on me and says, I hate injustice. But we say, oh, I feel so sad. And we get so consumed like it's me. I feel sad. It's my feeling. I am so angry. I just can't stand all this stuff happening. And we forget that we're mirrors. We're interacting with something sacred that's communicating with us, something that is made from another dimension that is with me. But if I have no idea of who I am, aka Ruh, which is the next aim that we studied after angels, then how? How do I know? So I'll segue. That was a little bit on angels and what angels actually are. We're going to pause for questions for all our new friends. Please do not be shy because nobody learns anything by being shy. We are here to really open up and explore and really try our best to practically penetrate this into our being and use it in how we view and experience the world. If it's not affecting how you experience the world, then it's not iman. It's just knowledge. It's not belief. It's not witnessing anything. It's just saying, yes, 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 I believe in angels because I was taught in Sunday school. But how do you know? So I want to bring our attention to one of my favorite parts of his um, page 535, Nurbanu, that you shared with me. Thank you for bringing it to my attention when I asked where it was. I actually think that these small two paragraphs should just be read out loud because they're so deep and so profound that they need to be repeated. So we talked a little bit about angels, which is again, it's unlearning everything we've been taught and really not just saying, okay, yeah, I accept it, but really thinking about it, seeing if it makes sense and coming back to, yourself, weighing it and experimenting with it and see if it feels true for you. So he says, if anyone studies his own life and self, he perceives an immortal spirit. Now we're facing a lot of mortality right now. There's a whole lot of death. I mean, it's just endless. It feels so everywhere. And we talked a lot about death here. We have to be able to face death. One of our homeworks 1 week was just to taste the reality of death when we sleep. We are all dying. Our bodies every moment are dying. There's thousands of chemical cell reactions happening momentarily. Our body is not the same today as it was yesterday. Every time we sleep is a mini death. So this promise of constant change to that physically takes over our physical body and the physical plane is promised, right? And that's just the physical plane. Most of who we are, Dr. Yamina said, has nothing to do with that. The physical plane is just the tiny little, we are spirits, we're interacting with angels. There's this entire unseen dimension that is the actual mover of the world. Because Imam Nursi said in this, matter is not essential. We actually think that matter has power. In fact, matter is only moved by spirit. Matter is subject to spirit. So we think, oh, my body's sick, as though the sickness, yani, well, let's just weigh with our spirit first what's going on. Because when your spirit is good, when the heart is good, like the Prophet ﷺ said, the body follows. So the real doer is ruh, amr, the real actor, the real mover, and matter, physical, just follows whatever is spirit, Imam Nursi said, if I understand that correctly. And Dr. Yamina, please feel free to jump in anytime to elaborate, pause, correct, as you see fit, inshallah. So immortality is very attractive then, because there's so much mortality that we need to be very much so acquainted with the reality of who we are as immortal. But we're so acquainted with ourselves as physical beings, and we name, claim, and identify ourselves as physical beings with physical careers. And that's just what we do. It has nothing to do with who we are. He says, indeed, in the course of occupying its body for a number of years, the spirit causes the body to change considerably, yet the spirit self-evidently remains constant. The spirit remains constant. I see friends who are in their 6th or 7th decade of life with the same aspirations, joy, hopes as when they were 5, the same childlike spirit. The longings in the spirit are constant. In which case, although the body is ephemeral, it doesn't affect the spirit's permanence. It does not affect the spirit's permanence nor spoil its nature, even though the spirit is completely naked at death. However, in the course of life, the spirit gradually changes its body clothes, our bodies changing, and at the time of death, it's suddenly undressed. The body subsists through the spirit. The spirit does not subsist through the body. Rather, since the spirit is dominant of itself, subsists of itself, the body may be dispersed and gathered together again as it wishes. It will not infringe the spirit's independence. In fact, here's my favorite part. The body is the spirit's house. The body is the spirit's house. It is its home. It's not its clothes. What clothes the spirit is a subtle, fine sheath, something which may be likened to a body, which is ethereal and appropriate for its spirit. At the time of death, then, the spirit is not completely naked. It leaves its home dressed in its body-like sheath. So who we actually are, this spirit that is clothed in this illuminated sheath, is inviolable. It is constant, and it's not harmed through any execution or any bombing or any slaughter. It leaves its home and remains immortal, protected, and safe, as is due to who God really is. I mean, how could he be infinitely compassionate if who we actually are was subject to harm? The home is subject to harm. The soul feels that, and yet it's but a moment in the grand scheme of eternity. So I'm almost done here. We talked about now the grand scheme of eternity, which points to resurrection, akhirah, this moment of change that is the actualization of eternal existence. It's not just after death when we talk about resurrection, but how do we use our longings right now? Like when you get super sad that someone's executed, or that 500 more people, and you see all the whole family or little children without their little limbs, and something inside starts screaming for justice, a place of safety, bliss, protection. So what is that? Instead of being that voice, hear that voice with a little bit of space of just noticing. That takes training to say, okay, I am not the feeling, but I'm getting this information that says I'm made to dislike this because something eternal inside, something immortal inside that is familiar with this immortal way of being is telling me about this immortal place, Akhirah. And so I say yes to it. Yes, it's true. This is how we're made. And so we have to be patient with what's happening. Dr. Yamina was saying Iman has two parts: shukr, gratitude for the reality, the fact that there is an immortal spirit, the fact that we can know who we really are, the fact that there is paradise and there is a guarantee of justice, and that there is a way to be sure that through the sense of compassion, there is a compassionate one. And sabr, patience, because the promise is that this world is bound to collapse. So the collapse is painful, death is made painful, and we're never going to be robots. Dr. Yamina said that it's just going to suddenly not grieve or suddenly not feel pain. No, we will. But with a heart that is reassured of the reality, the more we live from the ruh, the more that we're connected to who we really are, the more that even big calamities, yes, they strike you and you feel the pain. And in a deep breath, inshallah is my goal. I hope to come back to gratitude of the reality and breathing patience and acting and taking action in every single way that you know how, to sign the petitions, to call, to donate, to protest, to do all of the steps that we are given as our prayer. All of that is asking him to, and recognizing that we don't know, she says, making sure that we're surrendering to the fact that we don't know. We're not given full knowledge of why all this is happening. We have no clue of the wisdom. In fact, any of the wisdom that we see, he said, is like but a sliver. It's but a moment. It's but an instance when you think about the universe and all of the galaxies and the wisdom of how things are happening. We are clueless. And that takes true surrender, that first of all, before you can surrender, you have to know that what Dr. Yamina was saying, there's no way you can interpret chaotic events without being grounded in the perfection. Like, whoever makes the sun perfect and the earth at the right angle perfectly, and the leaf and the way it changes color perfectly, and the orange or the strawberry that just pops out of something green perfectly as a gift to sustain me, as a gift to provide for me. Whoever fills my heart with moments of love and smiles, that's perfect care and perfect love. Lynn posted some really beautiful contemplations for us in our homework chat. If you're not in it, let me know. We try to keep up with the weekly homework, heart work, and keep conversations going to keep the momentum up of doing this internal work, to pause and look at the flower, reflect on the petals. It's a totally different kind of existence that was deliberately brought before me by someone who wants me to notice. Why? Why does he want me to notice? To notice Rububiya, that he is Rab, cherisher, guardian, protector, teacher, educator, nourisher, nurturer. If I'm not seeing the basis that I'm the needy one who's powerless, feeling all of these feelings, and actually accept that I don't know, I don't have power, I just, I can't control a breath. I can't control my health. I can't for sure control someone else's execution. So I'm the needy one. I'm the abd, but he's the Rab. And I have to have some sort of grounding experience to lock into with certainty that he is doing his thing as a Rab. If I don't really see him as a Rab, and then you ask me to perform, look at this breaking news every day of chaos, Dr. Yamina was like chuckling at us, like it's impossible to have a true perception of belief or Rab when all you see is chaos and you're not really seeing any type of. And then people are saying, but how could he do that? Well, because you didn't do the first part of seeing him in all of the endless perfection in your organs, in your eyeball, in your hearing, in your hands moving so easily, and the fruits that pop out of the trees and you just easily get in the market, and the water that cleans you, that comes out perfect. And we're not seeing him taking care of us perfectly in all of the things. So she said, let us pause and get real grounded in seeing his perfection taking care of us as the real breaking news. I think Nurbanu, you called it the live stream. The real live stream is out your window, is in your feelings of what he's creating right now. That's the breaking news that we should be focusing on first and trying to see his care. Is it possible that this one that's caring for me is going to leave someone else when he's the one that filled me? What about all of the animals? And you see the way that they're taken care of in all of their perfect environments. So I will pause there. Thank you guys for your patience. I'm super happy to see everyone here. I do have a question for Dr. Yamina, but I'll save that for later since I just did a whole lot of talking. I want to hear if anyone has any comments, please unmute now. We're super friendly and informal here and would love to hear from you.
For everyone who has been joining for the last many weeks, now is a good time to share, how the 29th word, the halakas, have maybe changed something in your life, in your daily life, or what's something that's still, a question in your mind. Remember our intention for the halakha, and remember that it's a journey we're taking together. So however much you participate, you question, you notice your own need, that's how much you're going to take away from the gathering, and all of us will benefit too, inshallah.
I think one thing I can say that my following this series was spotty. I couldn't. I missed a long chunk in the middle, but I think two things became a bit more frequent for me, and I'm grateful for that. Alhamdulillah. Relatively frequent. I don't mean to say very frequent, but one is remembering death, and even though I'm mid-aged and I'm not that young, I do. I'm 45. I guess that's not even mid-age, but I do. I did realize that I have been actually really living as if, I mean, death is not really real. I mean, it is really real. Of course, we talk about it always in the halakha, but one of the things recently was to nurture that sense of, as Dr. Amina was reminding, that in order to confirm life after death and resurrection, we have to also remember how death is real and how we are living in illusion and not seeing the flow. And that really was helpful because I have been taking more than my share of global news in the last couple months and last year, really. And it has been really hard to continue day in, day out, and as if this world is real, really real, and then seeing all the horrors. Of course, it's still really sad, and you wake up at night, worrying about what's happening to people and to children and so on. It's still real, but or at the same time, there's an increased awareness that this world is passing. It's a flow. We're all flowing, and then who is the real loser? Who is the real winner? That's what really matters. I wanted to say two things. And the other thing about angels, I remember when we started studying many months ago, I wasn't sure what I was looking for, and I remember myself saying that, I don't feel lonely, I'm fine, I don't necessarily need to feel there are angels around and so on. But more recently, I feel like from time to time it comes to me that I'm not alone, or somebody trapped somewhere is not alone. From one perspective, of course, there are dire situations and very difficult situations, but reflecting a bit on angels and how they are actually carrying out commands, and they are, in the egg that you fry. I mean, it's possible for angels, or with your feelings, they are being employed. And then that the sense of not being lonely, that that child stuck in that rubble is not lonely. None of us are lonely. The angels are all around, and that means God is always with us. And these angels are carrying out that the spirit being, I don't know, I'm rumbling, but the spirit being essential, and meaning being essential, and matter being dependent on it has a nice resonance, especially when we see all these events that are extremely tragic. And they are tragic. There is no way of saying, oh, they're cool, we're chill with that. We're not. And Allah is making us, as we said earlier, feel that pain, because He is not pleased with all these evil choices that people are making. But I guess I want to say that these two things I'm very grateful for, that a bit more frequent sense of this is not a two-dimensional world, that angels are always around. And then the other one is resurrection, and that we are all flowing into the eternal realm. That has been helpful. Jazakumullah khair, Dr. Yamina, and Jazakumullah khair, Sarah and Nubanu, and everyone.
Thank you, Sravla. I actually, Sarah, go ahead. I'll go after you.
No, go ahead.
I was just thinking about the angels are everywhere and we're not alone idea. And I was thinking that was another thing that focusing and reading the 29th word has brought into my life is, in one of the weeks when we were sending out the newsletter, I think maybe it was Astravla or maybe it was Sarah, one of you shared the poem by Rumi that was like, this human being is a guest house. And I was just thinking of, like, especially the few days after Halakha, the heart work I think was good, like keeping it alive, but especially after the Halakha, for like when you've just kind of went over something and it has like really clicked for you. For me, it was this idea that, okay, like, everything is coming to me with purpose and meaning, and it was like the best coping mechanism for like anything that happens. So, in like cartoons, they have these really elaborate silver trays they bring like food in. So anytime I was like facing a situation, I would just imagine, like, it's coming out of this angelic realm and the situation is like on a silver platter, and just asking myself, well, I wonder why I am experiencing this right now. Like, what am I meant to learn? Literally right before the Halakha, my cat puked on the carpet, which is kind of gross. But there was like 8 minutes left and I was like frantically cleaning it. But at the same time, I was thinking, okay, there's an angelic side to this. So I need to figure out what, like, what was that? Was it, like reflecting on the idea of cleanliness, or like how I felt about this minor inconvenience, or this or that or whatever. So even in those very small things, and one of the conversations we had during these weeks was how we define the mundane and the things that we feel are ordinary. And, you know, I was just thinking, seeing everything as meaningful transforms your life completely. So nothing is, you know, um, random or chaotic. On the contrary, everything that happens is meaningful. Everything is there by the choice of a one that is loving. So it really, you know, for those things that, you know, oh, another late night where I have to put away the dishes or something, just, you know, it's very grounding to think, okay, there is something here that is meaningful. So I just have to stay with it, stay with my own feelings, stay with what could it be? And you can't always figure it out, obviously, but just the practice of it is very um peaceful.
سبحانك ما خلقت هذا باطلا. Yamina was reminding me the other day about negative events that I was witnessing, that when you are witnessing, even when, you know, when it's positive, it's easy maybe, or you want to find the meaning, but when it's negative as well, there is a meaning because you are witnessing them because there's a meaning for you. And I remember the discussion going along the lines of maybe it's showing you something that you're doing on a very small scale, but you're seeing it on a magnified scale as a warning for you. You don't want to get there. This is how you resent it that much. So when you're seeing it and observing it, it's meant for you. And then it becomes just like you said, Nirvan, totally meaningful because subhanaka ma khalaqta hadha batila. You are the perfect one, and you would have not made me witness this without meaning.
Thank you both for sharing that. Isra, Nurbanu, and Alia. I'm just going to piggyback off that and say Assalamu alaikum to Amina, who joined us. Alhamdulillah. I'm so happy to see so many faces with us. We are reviewing and how to see beauty. Well, how to see meaning. I like what you said, Nurbanu, because yeah, I mean, sickness, vomiting. When you said that, I started laughing. I'm like, yeah, this is definitely what I've just been experiencing. And I definitely didn't pause to think, oh, what's the beauty or the meaning in this at all? Despite studying this for about a year now. But I'm grateful that it comes up today. So we can sit there and be like, well, what about the events in our lives that are hurting us? And really using this space to the review time, I mean, to really sit here and be like, okay, this event happened that I didn't like lately, and this is kind of the takeaway. And it piggybacks off what Isra's saying about death and what we've studied about it. When chaos is unfolding in my own home, typically I'm reactive because I want the peace and I want stability or some sort of semblance of just calm. But quickly I see things just fall into chaos. This starts falling, this starts crying, this starts vomiting, this is this, whoa, it's just everything. And then in retrospect, we talked about how like even in your expectations that want things to be peaceful and calm and steady and stable, that's the ruh, right? That's how we're made, this immortal spirit that is made to desire constant. List the quality, all of his names, we want it eternally without fault, without defect. Peace, safety, love, bliss, stability, all of that. Constant without. So when we see these constant flutters, like boop, boop, everything is just kind of pinballing all over the place. I'm smiling right now at like yes, this place is not paradise. Yes, this is earth. The place, and the quicker that we realize, this is what he said, alhamdulillah for the reminder. 2 weeks ago, I think he was like, this abode is the place of tajruba, training, and trial, and calamity. The sooner that we just accept that and stop resisting it, like today, literally like 5 things happened around the same time. It was like this fell, this broke, this spilled, this cried, this got hit. I was just like, whoa, 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 and whoa. And to try to take calamity like the cat throwing up or something Anya mentioned that she didn't like, there's 2 aspects that come to me. The death of your sort of eternal expectation of peace or love, or it's like, yeah, oh yeah, this is the place of tajruba. Oh yeah, this is the dunya. Oh yeah, that's right. Something inside at the same time wants paradise, wants that constancy, and we can smile at that and be like, yes. The part in me that's irritated is the part in me that wants paradise. So let me smile and hold space for that space and just say, listen, this is the place of tajruba, the training place. So what do? We're going to clean this up with patience and be grateful that we can clean, that we have the strength to clean, that even the awareness of wanting cleanliness, the awareness of wanting cleanliness is a blessing because it points to the pure one that made us love things clean. Can you do all of that in the moment? No, but can you just take a deep breath and be patient and accept that this is not the place of perfection? Yeah, I mean, that's a little bit easier, not all the time, but it's a little bit easier. So that's what came to me, and I'll pause there. Maybe if Dr. Yelena would like to come in and share, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So just commenting on what has been shared, inshallah. It's always easier for us to get a grasp of where we are if we think horizontal versus vertical. When we forget, and we forget often when we have not been through the training of the Quran. Even if we're studying, if we have not done the work, if we have not experienced it, then we are going to forget because it's not who we are. It's what we know, it's information. And so we go back to who we are. And so in there, even though we do not deny the existence of God, we think we know that God is in charge, but actually we have no heart connection with what it means. It is not a lived experience. The very classical example is if you love chocolate ice cream or chocolate cake, and you ate it and you enjoy it, and maybe you ate it with your friends, with your families. So chocolate cake is not only something that tastes good, but something that you associate with moment of joy, moment of togetherness and friendship and love. So when you hear the word, it brings, it's a whole experience. Even we smile. But if chocolate cake doesn't mean anything, maybe at most I've seen a picture of it. Maybe I haven't even not seen a picture. I don't know what it is. I just heard about it. Then it doesn't mean anything to me. So we say God is all compassionate, or God is creator of everything. He's in control of everything. But our heart doesn't feel anything. So in that, in this perspective of the world, perception of the world, I perceive the world as horizontally. I see all causal relationship and I am doing things, I am feeling things, I have a self-perception of myself being independent and disconnected from the rest and disconnected from God. And so when I witness something that I don't like, I feel the sadness and I say, I am sad, and I truly perceive myself as I am sad. This is my sadness. And if it's too much, I can even feel, even if I don't articulate it with word, like, where is God? Where is this compassion? Where is this mercy? Where is justice? And it all makes sense in this perception of the world. The other perception is what we are taught in the Quran. It is actually based on reality. So the first thing that we are taught in the Quran is to question what we take for granted. And everything falls apart because there is no such a thing as me being independent, existing on my own as it seems, or as if everything is constant, and from time to time there are changes and things like that. All those are based on premises that are totally false, that I never questioned. And so when we start questioning them, we are taught to look behind the seemingly horizontal connections, and we start seeing the order, we start seeing how everything is interconnected, we start seeing there is a purpose and meaning beyond what we are seeing. We start becoming aware of something more. And so as we are guided to see the malakut, the angelic aspect, the aspect of creation of the world that looks to meaning, to purpose beyond the matter, what is being involved in the process is the ruh, the conscious part of who we are. And that consciousness starts growing. So the more malakut, the more angelic, the more the ruh is involved. And if we are truly doing the work, then we start growing and we start realizing that when I like the tree, when I like the majestic mountain, I am made, there is something going on there. What I like is not flesh and bones liking a big rock. Just like I'm not flesh and bones, the more we become aware and we pause and reflect, we realize that I am aware of my body changing, my feelings change, my thought change, but there is something constant, as we read previously. So that constant thing is the conscious thing. And so there is something, we become conscious and we observe, we watch, that's the witnessing. There is no witnessing without it being conscious. That's why Shahada is so crucial and so fundamental in this process. So there is that Shahada, we become aware that there is something, just like there is something more than my body, than bodies in my friends, in people around me, because I become aware that I am more than that. And what I like in my friend is not what I see, but something much more, much bigger, much deeper. The same applies to the mountain, to the tree, to the cat, to everything around me. And so we start becoming aware of the angelic part and the angels that represent the mountain, for instance, as the Prophet ﷺ says, we love Uhud and Uhud loves us. So we may say we love Uhud, okay, I love the mountain, but what about the mountain loves me? When I'm aware, you know, when someone loves you, you feel the reciprocity. And so this mountain is not just matter. Nothing is just matter. It's like writing. Writing is there. Its purpose is to convey meaning, to communicate. That ink on a piece of paper could be telling you something very significant. And if we reduce the message, the meaning to the paper and the ink, then we didn't get anything. We miss everything. So this is the difference between the horizontal and the vertical. In the vertical, we read messages, we listen to the meanings, to the purposes. Everything is bearing messages, everything is speaking, is communicating. That's what the Quran, we call them ayat. They are signposts, they are signs, they are messengers. And we start reading them. Bismillah, in the name of God, as we are taught in the Quran. In the name, we will find the names of God everywhere. If, as Sarah was sharing with the assignments and the heart work, if it becomes I become so familiar with reading the signs and communicating with everything around me, first maybe things like trees and mountains and things, and then with the events themselves, as ayat, as bearing messages, the more I become familiar with it and I become better at it, the more when it is something that is more unbearable, like sadness and grief and anger, then I can also read those signs, because those, just like the awe of looking at this majestic mountain, that awe, we need to learn to stay with it, because everyone feels the awe. We think when we feel the awe, okay, we said subhanallah, we are appreciating God's creation. No, that's in the fitrah already. It's like when you're hungry and you're given delicious food, even a cat will appreciate it. That's not the gratitude that we're taught in the Quran. That's fitri, natural gratitude. Now, stay with this gratitude and find the source, the true giver, and be grateful to the giver. This is the first step. Next step is even the gratitude itself is given. It's not from me. It's coming through me to make me know the source of the blessing and the source of the gratitude, because the blessing is blessing because I'm made to appreciate it. Otherwise, I wouldn't know even that it is a blessing. So the more the gratitude the awareness increases, the surrender increases, and our knowing, becoming closer to the names of God and surrendering our claims about who we are and what we do and what we think we own. And I realized that I'm not even the appreciator, I'm made to appreciate. The more we surrender, the more we prostrate before our Rabb. And that's when I start truly, I can confirm that he is in control. He is in charge. Everything is from him. And so when I feel intense grief and acute sadness and anger, and there is great injustice, then instead of focusing on the injustice and not being able to free myself from it, especially I don't know what to do with it, and I have no power, no control, nothing. I stay with it, listen to it. Listen to its message. And at least at one level, there are many, many levels, but I'm just giving one. And when we were reading, not this 29th word, but for instance, with the 33rd word and the 11th word, we looked at how to read the ayat. So one way is that my sense of injustice, my anger about injustice, my sadness is a hunger for justice, for compassion, for equality, for rights, and that hunger, the more intense it is, the more I realize how much we long for justice, how much we long for compassion. So much that we take it for granted that even though we're saying the world is in chaos, actually, if you look at the globe, most of the globe is in peace. But because the point of chaos is because the fitra, we are created with such a need for peace and justice that when there is the scale of injustice is beyond a little, a certain amount, the scales, the balance is totally, how do you say, spoiled. In fact, it's a tiny bit of chaos compared with all, not only the solar system, all the galaxies, everything is working fine. There is no chaos everywhere, but it feels like chaos everywhere. And this tells us how much we long for justice, yet we take it for granted, or how much we long and value and appreciate life, yet my own life, I don't value it. I waste my time. And Allah is saying, look, life is very valuable. When a life is taken without unjustly, we really, really grieve, even though we don't know the person. So it's mirroring back to me where I am. And it's a moment where I can say, Alhamdulillah, and the whole process of remembering God and remembering the names of God in the feeling of sadness and anger is a process of istighfar. I forgot that. It means I was not listening to what this anger and this sadness were telling me. I just like, I can't bear you, leave me alone. This shouldn't happen and I shouldn't be feeling like this. This is like like a child's temper. So at the end, whatever, this is only one example, but whatever the example, Alia gave the example also, what it looks to me, what does it say about me, what I'm doing in my life and how I can read that is another aspect. In any case, all of them should lead us back to the beautiful names of God and therefore to Alhamdulillah. If at the end we don't feel from the heart, Alhamdulillah, we're so glad, I'm so glad that Allah is in charge and that this life is not, we are not here to stay here and it is flowing because it feels like what will happen? But we are on a journey. We are not staying here. And so our anger for the injustice and the ones causing the injustice, Alhamdulillah, that there is someone who is in charge. So all this, one thing is when something happens, the reading of the names, there are steps to follow, and these steps are not purely intellectual. It starts with reflection, with contemplation, with listening, with watching, and listening to the inspiration. But this inspiration is coming not just out of nowhere. Like, we're not surmising or imposing assumed meanings. We learn the steps of the reflection. And then we contemplate and wait, and we are blessed with answers. So it's not making up things. It is something that we learn in the Quran, and that we sometimes mentioned during our halakas. But reading the names is a process that we can learn. We can learn the lowest, how to say, the simplest, and then as we become better at it, we will get to the next stage and next stage, inshallah. So it's a process of reflection, a process of listening, a process of being inspired. And it starts with surrender, surrender, surrender. Surrender means already making peace with what's going on. Everything is coming from God with meaning and purpose, even when I don't understand. And even is too much, because it assumes as if I have to understand. No, most of things I do not understand because I am so limited. But I am open to receiving wisdom if something matters. And when I receive the wisdom and the light that will bring light and meaning to what's going on, I should not assume that this is the whole wisdom. No, it is part of the wisdom. Enough for me to be at peace with what's going on. So the perfection, it was about, in the beginning, Sarah was sharing about how we talked about seeing the perfection in everything. Of course, it's always easier to start with what's already beautiful and perfect. And once we get used to witnessing the perfection in everything, then it becomes easier to see and witness perfection in my intense grief and sadness. Because how do I know how to be angry at injustice? The assumption that I am the one angry is based on false assumptions about who I am, as if I know, I'm taking for granted that I know injustice, I recognize injustice, I don't like injustice. Where did I get all these things from? I'm created this way. So alhamdulillah that we are created this way, because people can distort their fitra, the way that their natural disposition, and maybe reveal in torturing people. People are happy that others are in misery. So we can recognize that this is not the fitrah that Allah created. We can distort it. So when I recognize I'm living in surrender and acknowledging the perfection in everything and giving it back to its owner, because everything is witnessing, is mirroring, reflecting the beautiful names of God, and saying the Shahada, witnessing that they cannot exist that way, they are being made that way here and now, then my sadness, I will see that my sadness itself, if I stop and look at my sadness, I will be, oh, how do I know to be sad at something something that's happening very far away, people I never saw. I see a picture, or I even hear something, and I feel so sad and so I want to do something. I wish someone could help them. How do I know? Where is this need for helping, for caring for others that we don't know coming from? Clearly, someone is sending this to me. So at least let's start from the beginning, acknowledging the source of that sadness that is coming with the message about our Rabb, our creator, our maker here and now. And then everything will change its direction. So we will start looking at the Malakut. And then we will see the angel bringing we will be able to start communicating with the angel bringing the sadness. And the angel will tell us about the names of God. So the sadness will become a friend rather than something that weighs upon us. Like it becomes a burden when we own it and we don't know what to do with it, as if it is meaningless. And so the example of when there is chaos at home, I want peace. It's the same. When there is chaos at home, we have a need for peace. And so when I say I want peace, I'm reminded, astaghfirullah, I forgot. Again, I want peace. And if I get stuck there, it's not going to be good. If I get stuck in I want peace, but there is no peace, I'm already stuck in separation from the source of peace, separation of the one who is gave me the need for peace and is guiding me to come back to peace. To peace is a name of God, back to him. So now I am in separation, disconnected, and the more I want peace, the more there is chaos. And even if I work hard to have temporary peace, I'm looking for peace outside of me. So I cannot control everyone. And it could be that I want the children, for instance, to be quiet. Impossible. Children are meant to be playing and jumping. And so my sense of peace is now already distorted, and it's going to reflect on everything around me. So even if I get to momentarily, temporarily stop everyone from doing what I don't want, it's not going to last, and it's not a beautiful peace. But if I remember, I want peace, alhamdulillah, I am made to need peace. So I focus on peace and I choose to be at peace. I call on peace. Allahumma anta salam. Oh God, you are peace. And I surrender. And once I am connected to the source of peace and I'm at peace myself, either things that are disturbing will change or they don't disturb me anymore. And the fact that the kids are playing, it makes me smile and be even more peaceful and more happy and more grateful. So this process is a process of the ruh growing by interacting with the malakut, with the angels. And I start seeing the angels, the children like angels, playing around. So that was some reflections on what was shared, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, Yamina. Something that you said that struck me, and you've been saying this again and again all through, when you said it again today, is the practice part. And today, like, I invited my friend Amel to join in. She's a clinical pathologist, and the example that I was trying to explain to her, what are we doing? And what came to me was like, we are doing clinical hours, just like in clinical pathology, you have to, or in like, medical hours, you have to do like, hundreds of hours examining, doing clinical hours, examining and looking at perfect slides at the beginning before you are exposed to slides with things that you need to understand and explain and find meaning in why things are, shifted that way. But first you start with looking into, thousands of slides that are totally perfect, all the white blood cells, the red blood cells, their shape, their number, are all in perfect order, until you come to a point when you're done with those clinical hours, you get into, other hours where you're looking into slides that you need to find meaning of. So that training is, instead of clinical hours, is like, divine hours that we need to put in. And I remember you discussing with us before the stages of ilm al-yaqin, which is knowledge. Like, before I'm looking under the microscope for hours and hours, I already know what I'm going to look at, what is the count of every type of blood cell and what is the shape. I study it, but that is just ilm al-yaqin. And then ayn al-yaqin, I'm starting to look at it and, understand the patterns and see it. And then the final would be haqq al-yaqin, like, when you say you yourself change from someone who knows into someone who bees, like, being the clinician, being the one the abd who sees God in everything. So let's, inshallah, may Allah bless this journey and bless you and everyone who helps on this journey of our collecting, accumulating, and going through our divine hours, inshallah. Jazakumullah kulla khair.
One thing that stood out that I'll just summarize, inshallah, and then we can pause there, is whenever we think, it was very helpful, Jazakallah khair, Dr. Mina. Whenever we think, I want peace, or I just want justice, I want this to be done already, I want the house to be calm, I want this man's life to be saved, we've already disconnected from the whole truth of who we are, the Ruh, and all of the angelic spirit beings and the eternal realm. And I'm even in a way closed off the door to true asking. So you said, I'm saying I want peace, but because I'm owning that sensation, like, oh, I want the peace, I can't stand it, in this egotistical, consumed I mode, even if I'm not articulating it, you said, that completely disconnects me even from the door or the passageway to true prayer. True prayer is true alignment with who I really am. The spirit beings that communicate with me, sacred messages that then take me to my creator, because we were saying you cannot be in a state of tasbih, glorifying God, without the angels. You cannot go from human being to God without being present with angels. We're just not mindful of the angels because they are the ones really communicating with us, our feelings and the perfection of the things around us and our needs and the way we're made. I guess the last question that I had was, we talked a lot about angels being heralds, Imam Nursi's words, these beautiful official messengers in which we receive feeling from. And I'm wondering if the Ruh in and of itself, this breath of God, if the feelings that I feel also are evoked by that reality, like they're already ingrained in the Ruh. And I forget how many times this question has come up as I sort of just noticed what I was feeling about different things happening. Um, and so, yeah, I wonder if there's something that comes to you about that.
Sorry, I'm sorry, Sarah, but I couldn't get the question. Really, what's the question?
So the question is, are our feelings, the feelings that we experience, we talked a lot about angels being the ones communicating to us feelings because they're the messengers. But then I also thought maybe our spirit, this ruh, ingrained within it, is it possible that that also has feelings, or are we always communicating? Is it coming, am I receiving the feeling always through angels / spirit beings? You know what?
When there is a feeling, usually something is going on out there. The ruh on its own is at peace. But something is going on out there, and it's going to impact us either positively or negatively, whatever we mean by that. It means something that is likable or something that is dislikable, something we want more of or something that we want to run away from. But something is going on out there. Whatever is created out there is created, the creation is manifesting through the meaning, the purpose, the message that is brought by the angels. And it is the command, the divine command. And the ruh itself is by divine command. The ruh itself is God breathing of his own spirit. So the human ruh recognizes the names of God. It was taught all the names. It recognizes all the names because it's coming from God himself. Whereas in the creation, it's different combinations of different names, different degrees. And we have the potential to recognize all the names at various degrees. Of course, we have the potential. So when something is going on out there, how do we become aware of it? Through our interaction with the angels.
Yeah, that makes sense, because the fact that you're noticing a feeling speaks to who you are, the noticer, that then notices a feeling. So after I asked the question and you clarified, that makes sense. I think it speaks to how little I see. I pause enough with this just witness, peaceful observer, because I so much claim the feeling angry, sad, that there's not enough space or pause to charge the reality of, like feed. So the question itself came from not really sitting, because you're right, if you think about it, if we reflect about it, who we actually are is this consciousness that becomes aware of certain feelings that suddenly come. So it speaks to the ruh being this seat of consciousness.
And it makes us, because of that awareness, it makes us aware of what is already with us through our connection to God. For instance, if there is, we take health for granted, and it takes us an effort of becoming aware in order to be grateful for health, because it's health, being healthy is as if it is what it should be, what is. But when there is a lack of health, suddenly we feel sadness, we feel something is lacking, however we feel it, whether it's sadness or grief or fear or pain, but it's something that comes from what we perceive as a lack of health, and we can get stuck there, and so we live in fear and in separation from the source. And it feels like with health we can do that, but we can be like always in fear of not being healthy. And for lots of people it's material belongings or money, or there is a fear not sharing or amassing more and not letting go, because I will have less, I will lack. I am in lack, even if I have everything, because everything potentially can disappear anytime, which is true about the things. That's why shirk, because I'm having the illusion that my safety, what I need is with the material thing itself. In fact, it's inside, and inside is already full, let's say, because we are coming directly from God. And because we have a sense of completeness and fullness, when we witness a lack, it hurts, it's painful. And we are made to move, want to take action, want to take something. So it can be doing it in panic and furthering our separation and getting deeper in shirk, in the illusion that that thing is going to fulfill me. Or it can be with the guidance, with divine guidance, that what is happening out there is to make me find the source and find my appreciation for what I had access to, and why I was not even aware of how important it is. I was not even aware of how valuable, extremely valuable health is or sight is, until I don't have to lose it myself. When I hear people lost their sight, I feel my heart like feels something very painful. Something very valuable has been lost. And if we get the news about ourselves, we will be very depressed and very sad. So there is one way of taking it as the I is very important. Without I can't survive. Or sight is so important, so valuable, and I was not even aware of it. So back to istighfar, back to hamd, praising God, being grateful, finding God again. And when we find God, everything is already full, nothing is lost, nothing can be lost. And all these experiences in this world, all these experiences are in order to witness this reality, experience it and reconfirm it and relive it. And so we become aware of the names of God and our appreciation for it, and feel how we hunger for them, how we really are made to love and worship God. And without him, we cannot even fathom or imagine an existence, because a little bit of something missing makes us so miserable.
Jazakallah khair, Dr. Yamina. That is a beautiful place for us to reflect and pause on in order to live, inshallah, more aware of how we disconnect and how everything that we perceive is off in a disconnected place. And that reminded us of the need for istighfar, like you mentioned, to really seek forgiveness for when I am disconnected and how that impacts everything that I perceive, and how communally we should really engage in istighfar as a way to channel our need for to be in this alignment, and to channel our true awareness of our lack of mindfulness altogether. So inshallah, we're going to be sending out a request for everyone on the call and everyone that joins us, and mass share it, for communal mass istighfar. We're asking everyone to commit to at least 100 times a day. Astaghfirullah means istighfar. It's seeking God's forgiveness for my like Dr. Mina was just sharing, false perception and forgetting God being in control, and forgetting that it's not me who feels, but it's him. And witnessing all of the injustices and the atrocities, which are total breaches of the sacred trust that we were entrusted with as humanity, to strive for justice. So inshallah, we will send a little reminder in a little flyer form and a poll asking everyone to commit. As we witness the atrocities that pain us, let us channel that pain and that grief. Like Dr. Yamina was saying, we can read that more correctly when we're grounded. And in the meantime, make lots of istighfar. So we hope everyone can commit. We thank you all for joining us. Still, mashallah, 18 with us. Thank you so much for still being here. We know that it's late. Usually we don't run this late, but only for the review. It's worth every minute. Jazakallah kulla khair, Dr. Yamina.
I just wanted to highlight that in the previous halakas it was mentioned that istighfar is a key element, and for a long time, I struggle with it, and many people, I think, we feel like what something horrible is happening somewhere else in the world. Why am I asking for forgiveness? What am I asking for forgiveness for? And we can definitely have longer conversations. And Dr. Yamin had actually a series on healing with istighfar. But just wanted to remind myself and others that in asking for forgiveness, we're doing all of it at once. We're asking for forgiveness that we don't see the wisdom in what's happening. We're asking for forgiveness that we think our horror and sorrow about what's happening is ours, and it's not actually a manifestation of divine compassion. We're making istighfar for forgetting that this world is passing. We're making istighfar for our direct or indirect ways of supporting injustice. We may not be aware of our share of injustice, but we probably do have some share in whatever little capacity we have. So for all of these, we're asking for forgiveness. And Dr. Yamina had shared a saying from Imam Ali that somebody came, or was it the Prophet ﷺ, that somebody kept coming and asking, which is the best prayer for this kind of situation, that kind of situation. And each time the answer was asking for forgiveness. So it's a key.
Imam Ali.
Yeah, Imam Ali was it? Yeah. So Dr.
Mm.
Wanna, I don't know if wanna add.
Yeah, I mean, when we make istighfar, we are also focusing back on Allah's justice, His rahmah, His being in charge, being in control. And so, because when we are focused on the news and either not praying or praying but not being sure, we are not even helping at the level of prayer. I mean, prayer, we could be helping with doing something, but we can at least ask Allah for help, to help the oppressed wherever they are. But if I am not connected to Allah when I'm praying, then I'm not even helping that way. I am contributing to the darkness when I'm saying, oh, injustice, and making the oppressors, giving power to the oppressors more than the temporal power that they have. I'm contributing without realizing. So astaghfirullah, and it means back to God. God is in control, and if I can do something, I do. But in any case, even what I am doing or others are doing, may Allah employ all the people, all the heavens and the earth to help the oppressed. His will is happening, and may Allah's will happen with, how to say, more ease, more compassion, because He's making us to ask for it. And dua is very important and very powerful. And if it is directly connected, that's what sincerity means. Bismillah, we are now focused not on the injustice, focused on divine power, on divine justice, on divine compassion, divine love, and calling onto them. This is what we are making istighfar for. Istighfar that I forgot, and I gave power to the oppressors. And istighfar, as Isra said, in the ways I am contributing on a material level and a spiritual level. By being disconnected myself, I am also being part of the powers of darkness. So istighfar is very important in times of crisis, in times of calamities. It is the sunnah of the Prophet. It is in the Quran. And it is very powerful when it makes us go back to God and focus on justice, on calling onto goodness, to, inshallah, encompass everyone.
Yes, inshallah. And also, like, in addition to our material spiritual contribution to this injustice, however little or big, I feel like we might be also contributing indirectly by not standing up for justice in our little ways. Maybe we are not in any way supporting or contributing towards people being bombed in Palestine, but we might be obstructing justice in life in other ways. So this is, maybe if I was in a position to make bigger decisions, maybe I would also be complicit, like almost all the leaders are. So I don't know, I feel like there's a reason why we end up with these kind of leaders in the ummah and in the world. So
Definitely, this is a mirror to our inner selves.
So
Definitely.
as you said, Dr. Yamina, let's make istighfar Daily. You were saying daily at least 100 times?
I think that's a minimum and it doesn't take time. Just please make it with presence and with sincerity and with heart and with tears and with supplication to God.
Mhm. Mhm. Inshallah. جزاكم الله خير.
Jazakallah, everyone. As we said, we'll send reminders in the chat, just to, keep people, just to give people like a little nudge. Yeah, we probably don't need a sign-up sheet, but it's good to, and if people like to do any like reading Quran or Joshan together, they can always organize that through the
Like once a week?
Yeah.
Yeah, inshallah.
So, and it doesn't have to be like a very formal thing. If you find yourself, you have like 30 minutes that is free, you can just drop a message in the chat and say if anyone would like to join you. And, there's a lot of us in the group, so someone might be, and inshallah there'll be barakah in that gathering. So maybe we'll stop here. There is another reading in the 11th ray about angels. So I was wondering, Dr. Mina, if you would like to also read this before we go on to a different topic. Up to you. We can think about that. And if not, we will survey the group and see what we should do next, inshallah.
Inshallah. Yeah. Whatever you want to, you choose, inshallah.
Okay. Let's end here then. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة على رسولنا صلاة.